Alright guys, we're up here at Crumple Yard today. We're going to run through this apiary really quick and remove our forming pads, do inspections and feed the bees a little bit, and we're going to get out and do some more somewhere else. Alright then. Alright then guys, I'm going to show you what we're doing in here today. I'm taking formant treatments off. We did our fall treatment for the formant pro pads. I tried one of Randy Oliver's flash treatments where you put the foil over the top half of the portion, and we seem to have had good results with bee loss. So we haven't had any queen loss in my personal yards or the other yard that I tried this at so far. So I'm going to show you what we're doing. We're just going in, taking the pads on. We'll show you what it looks like doing those flash treatments. See those flash treatments, you put the tin foil over the top portion of the pad. So what we're doing today, we're inspecting the hive. We're taking those flash treatments off, making sure that we're still queen right in the colonies, and all the colonies that we're not, we will combine with other colonies if we have any losses. So far we haven't, so we'll keep going and hopefully see some good results. The next test is going to be doing mite washes to see if we were effective in our mite kills, to see how effective we were. And we want to see a really low mite percentage. We want to see less than 2% mite load. So we'll be testing a half a cup of bees, which is about 300 bees, and what we're wanting to see is less than 2 mites. Ideally no mites, that would be really good. We want to get those winter bees strong going through winter without diseases and pests, because this time of year the drones are getting kicked out, so that means that the mites are switching over to the worker brood. We want to have strong workers going through winter, because the queen is going to stop laying eggs, and when she does that, the worker bees that normally only live 45 days, they're going to physiologically change because they're not exposed to the brood, different pheromones that come about from raising brood. So they're going to physiologically change into winter bees. They're going to have more fat bodies. They're going to live longer. They're not going to be using their wings every day to go and forage. So we want to make sure that those bees are as healthy as we can get them into winter. And we want to work on getting our colonies built up big and strong. We're checking on stores right now. You can see in this frame, maybe, let's see. You can see they've got honey stored in there, and there's some pollen and bee bread about middle of the frame there. So we're looking for eggs and brood to make sure that we're still queen right. And surprisingly, I haven't had to feed these colonies very much. The nights are getting cooler, so the bees are doing clustering. They will tend to do that when the temperature gets 55 or lower. All right, we're starting to get into a brood nest here where I'm seeing older brood. But what we're looking for, see, we got some older cat brood there. I don't know if you guys can see that. This top corner right here, we have some older cat brood. They're starting to uncap some of that, probably because those bees fell outside a cluster. So sometimes they'll get a little bit of chilled brood on the bees that don't get covered, and those bees don't make it. They'll pull them out, they'll cannibalize them, and they'll use that protein again. And this frame, it had a couple eggs in there, but I need to see more eggs than that. Catch that sun. Okay, I know you guys are not going to be able to see this, but in this lower corner there's a bunch of new eggs. So that means that the bees, they're going down, they're not filling eggs out in the top of the cluster. They're starting to settle in. They're mostly likely in the bottom box and at the very edge of the bottoms of the frames. The bees are moving down, they're pulling honey down. They're rearranging that brood nest, getting ready for winter, because when they get 55 and lower, they're going to cluster. And even in the winter, when we have days that get into 60s and 70s sometimes, because you see it, the bees will go out and take cleansing flights. There won't be much to forage. They can still scrummage around and find some pollen. That's another thing, pollen sub. We still have plenty of pollen coming in. If you look at these guys, we still have goldenrod and aster and a lot of that knotweed still available for them to bring pollen off of. But pollen supplementing is something that we're going to want to do. Your bees don't have stores. My bees have plenty of stores. Some of them have 2 boxes, which I'll take some of it off and move it to some of my smaller hives that I started this year that don't have as much. So we will move those resources around. We'll talk about that later on in the year when it gets closer to the end. But if you're making sugar water, you want to be making 2 to 1, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, because we don't want the bees building comb. 1 to 1, 1 part sugar, 1 part water. It gets the bees building comb. And if you don't have stores, you absolutely want the bees to be putting up sugar water. And we got some colder nights coming, so you want those bees to not have that high moisture content by using 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is going to mimic them storing. It's going to put them into storing mode. 1 to 1 is going to produce brood production. So you have to watch what you're doing there when you're feeding and everything, but make sure your bees got food. Make sure your bees is treated. It's the 2 things I talk about the most. Treat your bees and feed your bees. So you come to me asking me in the spring what happened to my bees, I'm going to ask you, did you treat your bees and feed your bees? So, and it happens to all of us. Sometimes it happens and it's not something that you did, but the most likely cause of bees dying is hive royal mite loads where the people are not treating their bees. They develop diseases. All sorts of colony collapse happens within that. You get sick bees and you get bees that are starved. Sometimes you don't have enough pollen. Sometimes you don't have enough sugar water or sucrose or nectar or whatever you want to call it, all in the many different forms. Bees need protein and they need sugar, so pollen and sugar water, they need it if they don't have it, so you got to give it to them. All right then, we're going to jump back in time lapse. Alright then, we just finished up Dustin's bees. Treated, inspected, got some honey out of it. Alright, we're out. You want to sit on the couch.